What's up, y'all? Welcome to Try's World. It's Sunday, May 3rd. I guess we could start with markets reaching all-time highs again this week, or at least I believe they are. They're definitely, they're continuing to do well in the midst of earnings season. It's earnings season right now. And, there's a lot that's going on underneath of these new all-time highs, obviously. A lot of big moves, and which the passive investor doesn't need to worry about for the most part. And, just can stick with your investment plan. I prefer index funds, passively investing, contributing to every paycheck at the same percentage, no matter if the market's up or down. And that way you ensure your share of returns for the lowest amount of fees. And so now, obviously, I say markets are at all-time highs, but who knows what will happen next week, the following week, the week after that. I'm not sure. But as I've been saying, it's a long-term game. It's a long-run game. And those with a long-term outlook will do just fine. They'll do, especially if you're investing in index funds, you're going to do better than 95% of investors and managers. Just keep that in mind, and as you're investing. But yeah, it's we're in the midst of earnings seasons. But yeah, quarterly results shouldn't matter that much for the long-term investor. So even for stock pickers. But yeah, things that might affect that, I guess Jerome Powell's planning to stay on to ensure the independence of the Fed, which says a lot. He's basically saying this is unprecedented. He's never had to deal with something like this before. People in power are so political. They want to turn everything so political that he doesn't feel safe leaving the Fed totally. And some pretty prominent investors are saying that makes them feel more comfortable for Jay to stay on and to ensure the independence of the Fed. But unprecedented actions call for unprecedented responses. And so you're seeing someone who falsely believes that they may be smart, but they falsely believe that they're smarter than they actually are. This is a disease. I think Elon Musk has it. Donald Trump obviously has it. He thinks if you ask him, he thinks he's godlike, so. And his followers believe the same thing. It's hold on, some sunlight in my eyes here. So, as far as policy and interest rates, there you go. There you have it. The new chair, Kevin Warsh, gonna have a hard time lowering interest rates right now, especially with gas prices up. I just went up to fill my car and I'm like, there's no way that people aren't feeling this. Gas prices are up. They're up. So yeah, I think people are going to start to feel that. I guess in other news, there's been the Supreme Court just voted, I guess, on the Voting Rights Act, and essentially saying Louisiana, striking down some maps that Louisiana kind of gerrymandered to protect the minority vote. Specifically, I think in this instance, these two districts were elected an African-American representative. A lot of African-Americans live in those two districts. The Supreme Court has essentially struck that down as antiquated. It is no longer, in Justice Chief John Roberts' words, no longer needed. It's sort of in the past. It was needed in the past, but African-Americans are voting in much larger numbers now, is the argument. And so obviously this is falling predictably in party lines. Democrats saying it's just terrible for minority communities. Republicans saying this is a win. These districts shouldn't be based on race, because Chief Justice John Roberts was looking at it and it was sort of snaking, looking a little odd. Essentially consolidate the vote of the two African-American districts in Louisiana. So that was sort of a big decision, and experts and watchers are started saying, well, if that was needed to get the African-American vote to be what it is now, you shouldn't take it away. And so the big argument there is it has to show, and I think the majority decision, there needs to be clear, I guess, racial bias. That's a factor that the Voting Rights Act had, and a major factor in why the majority decision, I think it was 6-3, decided that this map did not meet that threshold. There needs to show clear racial bias, and that's sort of a higher bar to meet. And this is something that Chief Justice John Roberts has been working on for a long time. So Obama's written about it. Elizabeth Warren has written about it. Donald Trump's spoken on it. I think Pete Buttigieg. And what the Democrats are saying, this can be overcome. Just, you have to go out and vote. And yeah, the Republicans are obviously hailing it as a win. but it had nothing to do with. Well, I mean, there's been so many opportunities for Republican presidents to elect a Supreme Court justice. Now Democrats are talking about that, sort of expanding that, the Supreme Court, because that Supreme Court is heavily biased towards a conservative majority, just because it just so happened. And so to add more Supreme Court justices, I mean, to sort of even the playing field, just because, one party got lucky many, many times over in electing a Supreme Court justice, it's not very balanced right now, I will say that. And as far as the Voting Rights Act and how it's been voted, I mean, look, when the Supreme Court voted against Trump's tariffs, I applauded that decision. Just because a decision goes against what I believe, I'm not going to undermine the Supreme Court now. I just think there's just a gross bias towards, obviously, a conservative majority right now. It's clear, so that needs to be remedied. However, these things take time, and I think that's what the Democrats are saying. And one thing that stuck out to me is Warren Buffett, who's, at his age, I don't know what advantage it has for him to be Democrat or Republican, but he's been a long time Democrat. He grew up Republican. He was a Republican at one point, and now he's an independent. But it makes sense at his age. There's no point in endorsing anybody. I mean, I think at the height of his influence, he was a Democrat. He did a lot of sort of donations, campaigns for Hillary and Barack. And so I think he'll always be associated with the Democrats. It's just I don't know what advantage he has today, especially stepping down from Berkshire Hathaway and his company as the CEO. At least he's still, I guess, chairman, and so he's still there working every day. And their annual meeting was this past weekend. If anybody caught it, it's free on CNBC, Yahoo, something like that. It's free to stream. I highly recommend listening to him, Jamie Dimon, reading his annual letter, although I haven't been a fan of Jamie Dimon getting involved in politics more, because he just seems very naive when he sounds like Arnold Schwarzenegger right now when Arnold Schwarzenegger talking. It's like kind of outdated, like doesn't understand how the game is going, how dirty it is, or how dirty it's perceived to be to a lot of Democrats and a lot of just regular people. So yeah, I don't know if I'm a fan of Jamie Dimon getting more involved unless he's going to be much more informed. That's what I would say. Same with Stephen A. Smith. I mean, he recently predicted the Lakers would get swept. I mean, that's how deep his dislike for LeBron is, by the way. He's so biased and unable to think clearly. There's a whole meme of him talking about how he needs someone domesticated, and someone, if he's sniffing around and it smells like pine sol instead of food, he would be livid. And he said his sister even knows better, or something to that effect. I'm like, that didn't even make sense. And then so there's a comment that said, why don't you marry your sister? Which is like, I actually know very few sisters that, have food ready for me just because I'm coming by or something like that. Hold on, let me snooze this. So I found that a strange, sort of comment. Stephen A is so off. This guy's, I just see him on this, I'll tell you one thing. I saw him on a panel of newer co-hosts like Bob Myers and Kendrick Perkins. And I just remember him completely, and it's a dog-eat-dog world, but I just remember him just completely it felt like bullying Bob Myers, that's the best way, he's no longer, I think he's now an executive for another hockey team or something like that, but he didn't feel comfortable in the position, and Stephen A surely did not help. But that's the world they live in, and I think that's how he sees presidential candidates and candidates now in the field. And so he's starting to attack prominent Democrats and saying how Gavin in California, it's so easy to attack California. It's embarrassing, really, how little people know about California and continue to attack it. But it is what it is. It's too much sunlight. It's a little embarrassing, but that's just his demeanor. That's just Stephen A's demeanor. It's just celebrities gone wild. They have a platform. They have a lot of influence, and they're all, a lot more of them are interested in power than, maybe it's always been that way, but whether you're an analyst or whatever. So anyway, obviously I hope, just because I've seen his basketball analysis, and he's always been, it's supposed to be his bread and butter, and he's so terrible at it because I don't remember him saying super positive things about LeBron ever, but I always remember him and Skip used to sit there and, be all attentive as Skip just laid into LeBron. Ever since LeBron was, I feel like a rookie, Skip has been against LeBron, and LeBron became the greatest player, one of the greatest players ever, while Skip was bringing him down. So I just found that funny. I mean, there's some fair criticisms, but to me, it felt like something deeper with Skip. I know Skip thinks he's super down with people because he's friends with Lil Wayne and all that, but the hate on LeBron was next level, and I thought badly misguided, and I think Stephen A was a part of that clown show. So for him to like declare for president after being such a terrible analyst for so many years in his bread and butter, what the heck do you think he's going to do with the country? So that's my 2 cents on Stephen A. But yeah, I hope he doesn't go anywhere with that. But he's picking up momentum. He's got a platform. So why ESPN is allowing him to sit here and say whatever, a little crazy to me. But so I have my platform. This is my mini platform, and I know people don't see it as much. I mean, it isn't much, but I posted a reel that got like 27,000 views, which for me with 300 followers on Instagram is ridiculous. So I mean, I almost feel like you don't need many followers nowadays. It's just, yeah, I mean, you just have to obviously you have to have a public profile, but if you post something good, people tend to reshare it, stuff like that. But anyway, I don't really do it for any of that. It's just, this is a small platform, but it's a platform, so, but yeah, I just don't like people who are completely unqualified to sit here and running for president every 2 seconds. It's just like California governor race right now. There's so many people in it, and the Democrats are literally knocking each other out and letting the what I view as an extremist Republican Party right now to potentially take the field. And so, we need more moderate people. But anyhow, but people are leaving the Democratic Party. I mean, a lot of billionaires, especially. We can't just hate on all billionaires. I know I've had my fair share of criticism, but so has Warren. But again, I mean, he's going to do what's best for himself. And I think at this age, at his influence now, it's just no advantage to declaring Democrat or Republican right now. I consider myself a moderate. I think I've said it. But yeah, I mean, they retired Warren's jersey at the annual meeting, number 60 for 60 years at the helm, 45 for Charlie Munger. So I thought that was cool. I've been to it before just 4 years earlier, and it's just changed. So many things changed so quickly. And, I remember as an MBA student, we got to visit Warren Buffett. And when I went to his annual meeting about 4 years ago, I kind of revisited the same stops. It was completely different because he actually met with the students and took pictures with everybody, which I still have. So that was really cool. So it's really, but he's still speaking. He still has interviews on CNBC now and then. So I always pay attention to like what he has to say. And Jamie Dimon, there's just some people who are really good in business that I tend to pay attention to. Jason Zweig of the Wall Street Journal, I tend to read his articles. There's some things that I wrote down. I do have some notes. So I covered a little bit of markets. I'm sure I skipped over a lot, but that's okay. Shaq on his statement about lowering the rim for women, I think that needs a little bit more analysis in terms of how much would you have to lower the rim by to get the same percentage of women dunking the ball as men do in the NBA. If it's a few inches, then okay. If it becomes 1 or 2 feet, then you have to start asking how that perception will affect the game. Let's say there's more women dunking, but the rim is so low, let's just say, that the shot, it takes away from the long ball now. And at least for me, I don't watch women's basketball to see women dunk. For me, I watch basketball. It's gotten more skillful. That's the best way to say it. And if you have skills, whether you're a girl or a guy, you could put the ball in the hoop. You could defend, things of that nature. So when I look at when I look at women's basketball, I do enjoy watching it, and it is cool to see a 10-foot rim, and then the ball is barely lighter than the men's ball. So the fact that they can hit that long ball and hit a Steph Curry range, like Steph Curry went up against a really great 3-point shooter in, what's her name? Sophie Cunningham. No, not Sophie, but it's one of their 3-point shooters, and that becomes like sort of that becomes sort of the level playing field. The range, the skills, the ball handling, taking it to the rack, driving, basketball IQ. That type of stuff does not change. Basketball is more. So I disagree with Shaq wholeheartedly that they should lower the rim, unless a deeper study is found that shows that people want to see women dunk. I don't watch women's basketball to see women dunk. Like, that's the thing. Like, I had a lot of friends growing up who played basketball too. And it was fun playing against them in the gym. And, girls and guys play against one another, and the rim is the same size for all of us. I took basketball and weights in high school, and I think I played with the women's basketball, and I played with women. I think I would play with the men's ball. I forget, but the leader of that class, or the person who created that class, was the women's basketball coach, and the women were really good at my high school. So I think we might have played with the women's basketball. I forget, but I'm pretty sure it was the men's too. I don't know. But the point is, that'd be hard to do. Like, even in, let's just say, a high school basketball gym, I think they could lower the rim. I don't think they can. I think that you either raise the rim all the way to the rafters or you bring it back down. But I don't think there's a way to keep it like straight like this and raise it, and straight like this and lower it, unless they like fix the infrastructure of all these gyms. So, Shaq keeps mentioning it. I don't think it's getting anywhere, and I'm not surprised. It's just the WNBA is doing quite well right now. They just received an incredible pay increase. And so, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's growing astronomically, and people like watching it, obviously. So, Shaq, you're wrong, dude. So, stop saying that. So that's my 2 cents right there. Clay and Megan Thee Stallion. I don't know if it's my algorithm or what, but a lot of basketball stuff's been, playoffs, everything like that. But look, everybody's like like Paul Pierce is all like, oh, Clay is in the off season right now, so it's the timing of things, and that's how Paul Pierce operates maybe. But Clay's been single for a long time. Here's my take on that. Clay, when he got into the league and he got drafted along with Steph, he's like, yeah, I look forward to, passing. I think he said something about Steph, and it just showed a certain amount of like, he was trying to like little boy Steph. And basically, I don't know what he said, but he was like, you should just play I don't know what he said, but check out the replay. He's like, yeah, I'm looking forward to working with him and getting passes from him or something like that. Because he saw Steph, I think, as a point guard and him as a shooter. But Steph is an assassin. Steph became the alpha. And I think that's a part of the reason Clay left is to Kyrie-like move on LeBron. He wanted Kyrie. By the way, Kyrie making a move thinking he's like Kobe is crazy. Like, Kyrie should have never broke up that Cleveland Cavaliers team. He would have won potentially more championships with LeBron. I think they would have. But Kyrie leaving and now he's basically saying that it's starting to percolate on and get out there that Kyrie literally thought he was like Kobe, which is crazy. And because he brought that ego to the Celtics and got nowhere. Look, the Celtics won. So it's another example of someone thinking he's good. That's another example. He's great at ball handling, finishing at the cup. He's really good, but he probably thinks too much of himself. I hate to say it. Even Kyrie can do that. So, he's comparing himself to Kobe. So anyway, way off, in my view, of a comparison. But that's why Clay, I think, left the Warriors. Even Steph, when he played against Clay again when he came back, was like, you don't want to be here? You don't want to... Everybody felt the ego. Let's be honest. So Clay and Megan Thee Stallion is a desired product right now. Even The Rock is like crushing on Megan Thee Stallion despite the age difference. But her career is not on the decline, at least from what I see. Versus Clay is very much on the decline. So I see this more as it's an ego thing. He just sees, he's one of those guys that just doesn't want to see people doing better than him. And he doesn't like the fact that he's on the decline, and it hurts. But that's where things are at, and he's in a world of hurt. He went to the Mavs hoping for, to win a championship without Steph, and Kyrie gets injured. Anthony Davis gets traded. Luka gets traded. Now Clay, I think, is coming off the bench, which would have been his role in the Warriors anyway. And so he's upset, and he should be. And it's not really a good time for him to date. His whole career is in shambles. So why would he think about dating right now in terms of Megan Thee Stallion of all people? So I think it's, again, an ego thing. Clay's always had this sort of ego that's, I guess, on the quieter side, but he still has it. It's unfortunate. He should let it go and realize his new stature is not the same as it was, and it'll never be. And a lot of players struggle with that. They never get over it. And so they can never accept a diminished role. And so they retire probably way too early, or they are unable to adapt and extend their career like LeBron has. But all of LeBron's competitors, if you think about who were his biggest peers at the time, Melo. I don't think to say that Melo can't play in the NBA is crazy. And Melo has said he will accept a diminished role. But how diminished? I think there's probably a disconnect with how diminished his role is and what the NBA thinks. And so instead of taking that diminished of a role, it's better to retire with honor, I guess. I don't know. But LeBron works so hard at it that he's still a starter. He's still effective. He won the Lakers that first round series, essentially. So congrats to the Lakers for moving on. But OKC is going to be a tough one. But yeah, LeBron's adapted to every single era. That's why he's lasted so long. But that's my take on Clay. I talked about the Voting Rights Act. Oh, there's this girl that has gone viral And a few of my, I guess, Instagram friends liked it in terms of there's this girl that was like, I have a whole bunch, I used to be with a whole bunch of Asian friends that are cliquey. They're very cliquey, and they're all like, they all want to be together. And I'm like thinking, I'm looking at her and I'm like, and she got a bunch of likes. And unfortunately, the internet's like that, where they will reward people saying the craziest stuff, right? And so my initial thought was, okay, why is she going and talking so much smack on Asian people? And she went further. She goes, and I found out some of them called me overweight or something like that. And I'm like, man, this must be a really young crowd, like talking about this stuff. She's getting so many likes. Again, just a silly topic to talk about, but the internet loves this stuff. But it might show my age as well, because I'm just like, this is so childish. So my take on that is, I mean, if you're going to call it out for everybody. I mean, a lot of people, like to hang out or date or stay or be friends with people of similar backgrounds, culture, whatever it is. And it's not just Asian people. I mean, I know for a fact it's not just Asian people, because I've hung out with people of every race, and they tend to like to hang out with people of their own race sometimes. Not all the time, but I've seen it happen often enough to where I'm like, every race should be called out then, not just Asian people. But yeah, I mean, I've been in situations where I'm the token Asian guy, hanging with African American friends or white friends or whatever it is, right? So I would say it applies to a lot of races. The girl, I think she might be mixed. I don't know, but I think she's feeling uncomfortable because she might be mixed, which, that's unfortunate. But you got to understand, like, even within Asian groups, there's a lot of differences. Like, Chinese culture is not exactly the same as Japanese culture. Japanese culture is not. So when she says Asians, it's like, what type of Asians? I mean, she says, I don't think she knows the difference between the Asian people. What if she's hanging with just a certain group of, like, I'll go even further. There's a difference between, like, Asian people who have lived here for a long time and Asian people who have just arrived here, or just immigrated here. And they may feel like they want to hang out with their own group because there's a language barrier. So let's say they're Korean. A whole bunch of Korean people just arrived here and they all speak Korean. They don't really understand English that well. They don't understand American sports that well. So they hang out with themselves. I've seen that happen, and it's understandable to a certain extent, right? So, I mean, so to sit here and, like, she's just going off, like, I can't believe all these Asian people, like, blah, 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 blah. And I don't care if you're Asian or, like she says she is. It doesn't give you a green light to just bomb on Asian people. I hate it when people do that. It's like, oh, I'm Asian, so I have an Asian card, so I'm just gonna, start hating on Asian people. It doesn't give you an open lane to say terrible things about your own race. You know what I mean? So stop that. Out of pocket, in my view, unfair in my view, and it just shows, again, the perils of the internet, the short-sightedness of the internet and the algorithms. Which, what I do like about what's going on with Instagram's algorithms is they're now getting away from aggregators. That is, if you're posting unoriginal content, which if you look at my content, all original. I take a lot of pride in that, because it may not be like the best stuff, but I'm not just copying someone else's stuff. If I am, I'm remixing it, which Instagram sees it as still an interpretation, your own interpretation of something that's out there. I'm remixing it and putting my own comments and interpretation in there. So I don't care if it gets 2 views. I don't care if it gets 10,000 views. My comments are in there. My fingerprints are in there, and my personality's in there most of the time. So I take a lot of pride in that. It's because it's like, even these podcasts, and so it's like, but yeah, I'm glad Instagram is doing that. I hope other people do that. But how you can check is you can look at your active status, your profile status, and see essentially if it's recommending to non-followers. But if all you're doing is aggregating unoriginal material now and just, remixing it, but maybe posting the same exact thing that's already out there, or just reposting it, you're not going to get as much love, apparently. Which I think is great. I think is good. I'm all about originality. And so whether it's content, whether it's DJing, everything, it's got to be who you are. I'm big on that. Yep. So made notes on that. Yeah, I'm continuing to post videos of my workouts, things like that. As far as basketball is concerned, it is a good. I forgot how good of a workout it is. So I'm glad I'm still able to do it, and I'm glad I mean, I think it's Mike Miller's like maybe for him shooting is like riding a bike, but for me it's like now I'm able to maybe shoot like once a week or twice a week. But I used to shoot every day, and if I missed a day, I could tell, let alone years. So maybe for Mike Miller, it's like riding a bike, but to have that like a really really accurate and deadly shot, I think you got to work on it all the time. I hate to say it, but and your longevity of your game, and that's why I work on my shot is I think depends on what position you play. If you play down low and you're having to body people up and post people up all the time, and you get a lot of fouls, I mean, you age faster. I mean, versus Steph, I think he could play for a really long time. I mean, LeBron still has that old man strength, but he is naturally gigantic. So is Shaq, but I just think Braun plays more of a guard position, so he takes a little bit less damage, but I still see him posting up, man. Like, Braun is an athletic marvel, though. So, but yeah, I mean, if you have, my opinion, if you have a really good shot, if you have a really good jumper, you can extend your game for as long as you can shoot. Obviously, you have to get open to get the shot off. If you're too predictable, that's why I try to shoot off the dribble and stuff as well. And, there's an unlimited amount of things you could do to practice and brush up on skills. Or, there's probably not much improving on skills I could do at this point. But, I've been playing since I was as far back as I can remember. We had a hoop since kindergarten or first grade, second grade. I remember playing in elementary school. I've been playing basketball for probably since I was 5, 6, 7, something like that. And I'm 41 now, so, I mean, I'm serious. I probably took 10 years off, though. I mean, after I graduated, and after I started working post-MBA, I was so busy. I really couldn't get out there. And I had a bum shoulder anyway. So, yeah, I stopped for a while. But, yeah, I mean, a good chunk of my life, I've been shooting the ball and playing basketball. So, I'm glad to see the game still as strong as it is and young people still liking it, So, and it's fortunate that I can still shoot the ball and do all that stuff. And to a certain extent, I agree with Mike Miller. I'm still shooting the ball pretty accurately for not shooting the ball for 10 years. So I get what he's saying, but it's not game time. It's not a game time shot. That's the best way to say it. I mean, I'm shooting on a wide open rim, which, I mean, I'm hitting 7 in a row, though. I hit 7 in a row from way back. So that still shows some ability. And like I said, I'm glad it's still there, but, it's, I don't know if it's game time ready, and but yeah, that's all my notes. I'm just thinking if there's other stuff I want to riff on, but not really, not off the top of my head. I hope all y'all are having a great weekend. I might post this 1 or 2 days later. It's just kind of worked better for me. And like I said, I may skip a week or two here and there depending on what I'm doing, depending on what's going on. I know I said I'm not gonna post more than once a week as far as the podcast, but if there's like some small stuff, I might still post it. But yeah, in general, it's just as far as the podcast is concerned, it's just during the week, it's just tough. That's the best way to say it. There's just so much going on during the week. It's really, really tough. So I try to do what I can, but sometimes it's better not just not to post. But I picked up a lot of subs on YouTube. Last week, I picked up like 4 subs for whatever reason. I've got like almost 40 now, which again, it's like, well, yeah, no, I mean, I appreciate the love. I mean, I don't feel like I'm putting a whole lot out there, but getting a lot of views, getting a lot of love, so I appreciate it. I wish I could post more, but it's I gotta balance it. Probably posting too much already, but I do enjoy being able to express myself and talk on current events, and it seems like I'm getting feedback in person and online and stuff, and I appreciate it. I appreciate the love. That's the best way I could say it. I'm getting way more love than I thought I would. That's the best way to say it. And given my amount of followers, sometimes like my political posts, they get so much attention, and I'm just like, I'm a little shocked sometimes. I don't even care. It's not even my political posts. Like I posted a picture, or not a picture. I've seen this squirrel on my fence, and it's going nuts. It's jumping from the fence to the tree to the fence. This guy is like eating stuff. This dude is a ninja, dude or dudette. I don't even know. Wagging his tail like crazy. Anyway, that is a crazy squirrel. I'm so distracted. But, oh my gosh, I did it again. Anyway, simple pleasures, right? This dude is a ninja. He's got, I don't know, that's a little LeBron squirrel. It can jump really high. It's got a vertical. But, so anyway, no, I'm getting a lot of love. And it depends, like I posted, it's funny. It's always the ones that I'm like, I don't know if I should post it. And then I get like all this love. Like I wasn't going to post ISO for real, because I was like, that was so crazy. And I actually did that for my own self. Everything that I posted, I was going to take it back and be like, what are the good songs? How did the crowd react? What should I include in my own set? what can I remix? What are his DJing skills like? All that was actually for me. So selfishly, I wanted to keep it for myself, but I was like, yeah, I'll post it because there's so much negativity around it. And it's the same thing with basketball. Like I'm doing these basketball workouts and I'm getting like thousands of views on YouTube. But yeah, my best performing short was the one I posted last night of me shooting off the dribble. So again, I appreciate the love. I don't know what'll hit and what's not. And I honestly really don't even do it for that. Not that I don't care, but I don't sit there counting it is a little distracting when I post it though, because it's like I do want to see how it performs sometimes, and so it's a little distracting, and it's not my favorite thing. So especially during the week, so you may see less posts. That's the best way to say it. But I appreciate the love, I appreciate the feedback, and yeah, make sure to subscribe, make sure to like, make sure to comment. I may not be able to get to it right away, but I try. And hope everybody has a good weekend. Happy investing. Hope everybody keeps healthy, wealthy, and wise. That's what Benjamin Graham, that's what Benjamin Franklin said. Early to sleep, early to rise keeps he says, man healthy, wealthy, and wise. But that obviously applies to women now as well, or it has always applied to women. But they've always, you're taught in school you could use that interchangeably. But as time goes on, you're realizing how lopsided some of that language really was. So healthy, wealthy, and wise. I hope everybody stays healthy, wealthy, and wise. Has a good, great week and a great weekend. Thanks, y'all.